Hello, I'm one of the best players of Mechabellum, and this is a guide about how to use each technology. Keep in mind different players have different loadouts. There's no optimal way to build every unit, it's just how you use each unit. And in this video I'm gonna teach when you should press a certain technology. It's a long video, skip to the unit you wanna see or watch the whole thing. I try to talk a little bit faster in this video to condense it. So here you go. Okay, so let's speedrun every technology. So crawler, if you don't go like aggressive crawlers, you go loose formation if the enemy is trying to go like mass Arclight, mass sledges or whatever, and this will force him into Mustangs, right? Then if there's only Mustangs or Fangs on the board, you go subterranean, please. And acid is good against factories if there's a factory meta. Mech rates is pretty bad. If you go like carry crawlers, you start with replicate and impact drill. The replicate is good because if you are pushing the enemy tower and you kill one tower, all of your shit is gonna replicate and it's really good. And the impact drill wins 1 versus 1 against replicate. So sometimes if you are expecting replicate, you click impact drill. And mech rates is like third technology for a carry crawler after you replicate and impact drill. Impact drill is also good against what's it called? Level towers, right? Okay, next guy, Fang. So Fang, if you use these Fang guys passively, like you should, you only go portable shield, and you go this against like Arclights that shoot slow, and Tarantulas and stuff like that. Never against Mustangs. And if you play, or also range upgrade you can use if you are playing standard and the enemy goes Wasps and you have a lot of Fang chaff. So instead of building Mustangs, you build range for your Fangs, so your chaff does something. Then also with Fang or the Fortress Fang summoning, the Ignite is pretty good against like highly leveled raids maybe, or factories. And if you go carry Fang, you always go range first, then mech raids, then you go Ignite or AP bullets. And I think AP bullets is probably better with Fang carry, but the Ignite is more, what's it called? More flexible. Okay, next guy, Arclight. So Arclight, you can use the armor, if you want, to block Mustangs. So this is a big tempo swing. It's very cheap technology to use against Mustangs. But other than that, you usually go range and then you go elite marksman when they level a lot. And I don't think the charge shot is good. I haven't been playing it lately because it got nerfed some time ago. It reduces your chaff clear like a lot, so it's not that good. EMP is useful late game against giants, maybe assault marksman early, stuff like that. Anti-air, I don't like it. I think if you click this, your Arclight will get stuck on shielded Fangs and do nothing. So it's actually worse to shoot in the air. So just build Mustangs against air units. Then Marksman. Well, this is pretty self-explanatory, I think. You go range first in long-range games. And or maybe this is actually quite hard. I don't play the Marksman unit that often because I'm an aggressive player. But with aggression or defending against aggression, the assault mode is pretty good. It transforms some of the bad starting packs into good ones, right? Like Mustang, Marksman. So it becomes actually usable with this technology because you can use them as a front line. This is also good against Wraith push, because this is okay against steel balls, crawlers and Wraiths, everything. So if you get a marksman drop, this might be good for you. The aerial spec is, well, the main use case is against Wraith push. So you need to kill Wraiths. So you recruit level 2 marksman and go aerial specialization and delete them. Then the shooting squad is, I think, if you get the subsidized marksman card, you can just build only marksman, right? And then you click this button and you get the army of Fangs, so you are not behind on chaff. That's my use case for it. And If you play like long range games all the time, it's pretty valuable to have like range and elite marksman for the late game. And the EMP is very usable against like high level units, problematic units with field maintenance or armor. Or if you play standard and you have Vulcan's best partner to summon Marksman, you can go range and EMP on them to disable enemy giants, so you can win against melting points with Mass Vulcan, for example. Then the quick reload. Is it good? I don't know. Like double shot, I think it's pretty bad. Usually, like when you take the double shot, you are trying to counter something big. Is it ever good to get EMP just for slow? No, it's terrible. Only like you need to disable something. And the double shot, like it seems pretty good that yeah, the marksman does like almost double damage. But in reality, if you feel like you need to take this, you are not gonna counter what the enemy is doing. Like maybe you click this when the enemy has like a level 2 fortress. Well, it's still not gonna die. So I don't like it. Quick reload. It's good with Assman, for example. Adds a lot of chaff clear. It's good against Wasps in late game, in standard play. So this doesn't increase the marksman damage. It just shoots 2 times, right? So 2 different targets. It can kill 2 wasps and not 1 wasp. So not amazing techs. Okay, then the next guy, Mustang. So Mustang, well, you always go range first, and the unit kind of requires range to even do something. So range you always need to click. Then high explosive ammo, I don't know, it's good against crawlers and Fang carry. But crawlers, the enemy can press the loose formation, so it's kinda sus, I think. I haven't been using the HE that much. Aerial specialization is against overlords, so you can have better range to not get, so your guys don't walk into the fire, right? Then the AP bullets is for if you have multiple high level Mustangs, you just press this and they carry the game for you. The missile interceptor, I think it's not good. Like how it works is that if you have a level 5 Mustang, it will just start shooting at the missiles and not do any damage. So this could be good if you have like subsidized Mustang card and recruit like 10 of them and click this, maybe it's good, but I think it's very risky technology. I always win against every player that clicks this versus me, and I lose this. I lose the games when I click this myself, so I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, so you can play like Sledgehammer carry. If you play Sledgehammer carry, you need range, mech rates, probably AP bullets and EMP. The EMP is really key of winning against big units like Warfactories, fortresses, whatever. If you play carry sleds, you need EMP. Is carry sleds good? No. But maybe there is some avenue for them if you get the extended range sledge card. Maybe it's good, I don't know. But usually the sledge is like a tanking unit. You use this against Mustangs. So they delete the Mustangs, they tank the Mustangs, and they add a little bit of crawler clear, right? So this is like a hybrid unit. It clears a little bit, deals some damage, tanks a little bit. And I think best technologies for the sledge is just armor or field maintenance. You go field maintenance against like storms and other kind of slow damage, and armor against Mustangs, right? And maybe mech rates if the enemy has like a lot of chaff and you have quite a lot of sledgehammers. And I'm not quite sure how to play the sledges properly. I think you need some air units behind them, so they will stay in front of the air units like Overlords, Phoenix, whatever. And range is good against like hackers. Maybe it's good sometimes to force the enemy to click range on multiple of his units, right? But I don't use the range a lot. I think like field maintenance or armor always better. Hello, Dark NGU. So, new unit. Storm. Storm is one of those units that it's very risky to tech because of the anti-missile devices, right? There's a lot of them in the game. So usually if you go multiple techs on the storms, it's really bad. Or if you go like fast techs on them, it's really bad. I think the only tech you can click like early game is the high explosive ammo. You go like 3 or 4 storms and click high explosive ammo. It's very good against Fangs, Mustangs, and okay against crawlers. And then later in the game, the launcher Overlord is kind of like if your enemy is trying to anti-missile your storms, maybe you have the subsidized storm card or something, you have like 10 of them, then you just click this and he cannot intercept them anymore. An incendiary bomb is if you need fire, but most of the time high explosive ammo is better. But if you have access to, for example, multiple oils and stuff like that, the incendiary might be very good. Or you have a lot of air units, because this kills your stuff also, this doesn't. And this you never take, because it shoots slower, so it's easier to intercept, right? So never click this. And the EMP is sometimes good against, for example, melting points that have range, or even multi-melters, or against fortress with range. Any big guy you want to disable. Even Mechabellum steel balls, it's pretty good to have this. But this, not that good. I think when you play storms, only go one technology, HE ammo. But some of these have like use cases, right? And the range is kinda iffy also. If you go like only range, seems very terrible to me. Okay, steel ball. So the best tech is energy absorption, and it depends kind of what kind of unit comp do you have. Do you go range or energy absorption? If you think your steel balls are not gonna die, and you can like tank with them and run to the enemy tower, this is amazing. It will make them invincible, but if they're too weak and die to the enemy units, then you need range, and then they stay behind like Typhoons. And the barrier tanks for them, and the steel balls can connect to enemy big guys from behind. Damage sharing is like a one round trick, right? You click it, the enemy has nothing against it, and it just runs them over. But it's very risky, and there's a lot of good technologies on the bar, so it's very hard to fit it. Then the mech div, it's good with the subsidized steel ball card, and it's good with Warfactories. It's sometimes good with the steel ball summoning item. And if the enemy has like terrible chaff clear, you can click this. It's very bad against like Vulcans, usually against Mustangs, anything that shoots fast. Then the armor is basically against Mustangs. So some of the games are like Mass Mustang versus Mass Mustang. It's very useful to have armor. Also against Vulcans, by the way. And fortified target lock. This is good if you are in the line, like with headbutt. Both of the players deploy units very, very close to each other, then this is good. Or with the extended range steel ball card, this could be good. This was recently buffed, I haven't experimented with that much. Okay, new guy, Tarantula, holy shit, I don't know anything about this guy's technologies. Well, the spider mine is the best tech for them, that's for sure. And why? Because it creates another threat for them. Like, you need to counter the Tarantula with single target damage, right? But you need to counter the spider mine with fast damage, like Mustangs or something. So this is very good because the enemy now needs to deploy 2 types of units to kill your guy if you have spider mine, and it's very good chaff clear against crawlers. Then the second technology for me would be always range or field maintenance, depending on how the enemy is countering the Tarantula. If it seems like your guy will live and not get deleted instantly, like by a melting point or something, maybe the enemy has like double shot snipers or some crazy shit, then this is like really good. You can just run in front of the enemy and this will just not die. And with the range, if he has those melting points, for example, you can keep them safe and summon mines from the back line. And the armor tech is pretty good if you are, like what I used to do is that I went jump drive Wasps, right, with the Tarantula start. And then the enemies start deploying Mustangs to counter the Wasps. Then I put these guys with armor on the flanks and now they are stuck, the Mustangs. So that's how I use the armor. Or like a Vulcan is pretty good counter to the Tarantula because the Vulcan counters the spider mines. So you can build this unit into the Vulcan and click armor, and then the Vulcan does nothing. And then the anti-air, I don't think it's good. High explosive ammo, well, it's good, but I don't think you want to use this unit as like main chaff clear. I think it's sufficient enough in the early game, and then you just go Mustangs and not high explosive ammo. That's my feeling about it. And these two, like, they up the power level of these guys a lot, but I feel like if you are 3 techs deep into the Tarantula, I feel like the enemy doesn't know how to counter the units, or you just lose the game, either or. But I don't think it's good to go 3 techs on the Tarantula ever. You just need something else, right? And not the third tech. Rhino. Well, the Rhino is very aggressive unit, I think. Well, the Whirlwind is for chaff clear, right? You can kill crawlers, fangs, you can run to the enemy tower, clear the path easily with Whirlwind. Photon coating make them a lot more tankier, it's pretty good. But I feel like it's much more efficient to photon coat the Rhinos with Farseers or the Overlord. But this works on the flanks, but I don't have it on just because I use Overlords. Field maintenance, not good, because you will die to beam weapons like steel balls, melting points. Final bliss, sometimes good, but it's very risky. Like you deploy this guy to blow up the enemy front line and he's gonna just go hacker. And then you are sad. Mech rates, maybe you can, like this increases the damage I believe by 30%. So it's pretty good if you get like a level 7 Rhino drop or something, you can hack through enemy fortress, but I don't like this as that much. Then the wreckage recycling, same idea, you get a high level Rhino drop, invest only 100 to it and it becomes pretty good. But if you have like more of these Rhinos and you click this, I think it's pretty shit. It's a bad technology. Power armor is, if you are committing heavily into Rhinos, you can put them closer because the enemy cannot missile them. And they are not slowed by oil or degen beam. So it's pretty good sometimes. And the armor is the most usable technology for now on the Rhinos because it gives 50% HP. And it also blocks like Mustangs and stuff like that. But the 50% HP is quite good if you get like big Rhino drop or 3 Rhinos on the start, click armor, go ham. Okay, there was a raid. Thank you, I cannot pronounce your name because I don't know how to read it, but thanks. Okay, hacker. Well, the hacker is a good unit with, for example, Mustangs. It's good when the enemy overcommits into small, like medium units. If the enemy has like Firebadgers and Sledgehammers both, and he actually keeps building them, the hacker is amazing. Also good against some bad flanks like Rhino flanks or something. And with the hacker you go, well, usually you go range first, so the hacker doesn't die, and when they hack stuff it will level, and then the leveled guy has a strong barrier. So you go range first to get levels on the guy, and then you click barrier. And multi-control is good against like spider mines maybe, or low-level sledgehammers, but if you click the multi-control, you need to have a high-level hacker. You need to have like level 3 hacker, and the enemy needs to have like level 1 sledgehammers. If you don't have a good level advantage, it's bad. And it's bad against like fangs and crawlers. It's good against sledgehammers and other that types units. Enhanced control. Well, this is good against exploding rhinos, right? But I think it's kind of troll to go 3-tech hacker. It's always barrier and range. EMP is good against assault marksman and to slow the enemy, but like even though it cost 100, this wouldn't be never your only tech, so you will need to go barrier and range, so then this tech will actually cost 500, so it's not that cheap. Is this useful to you guys? Is this like new information? Or am I just doing stupid work here? Okay, nice. Then the Wasp. Well, I think the Wasp is best used as a jump drive device. Like you deploy this and you play mobile beacon with jump drive. And you can see me do it in a lot of games. And if you are gonna use carry Wasp, you are gonna need ground specialization. You need to, like the main counter to Wasps is like if you get them going, the enemy is always gonna go fortress anti-air. So you need to kill fortresses with this guy. To kill fortress, you need ground specialization. Right? And for the carry Wasp, you need always range and ground spec. Holy shit, there's so many technologies. And sometimes when you try to go Wasps, right, the enemy will counter you with their own Wasps. So you need the aerial specialization to fight the Wasp battle. So this, well, you could take it off if your plan would always be, when you bait the enemy into Wasps, you could go into Fort AA. So I could see me taking off this technology and maybe going into Elite Marksman even. Well, I could go Shield. Like the Shield is very good in also in carry Wasp, because you're gonna die to some of the spells, but when the spells come, I use jump drive and go cheese some tower somewhere. But you could use energy shield, and energy shield is also very good when you are using like Wasp as a chaff. And or mothership with the Overlord, there's summon energy shielded Wasps. And Elite Marksman it's a bit of a more like a win more technology. I don't think you have time to build it in a game. I think the enemy is doing something wrong if you can go into Elite Marksman Wasps. But it is pretty good. So if you would play like full carry Wasps, you could do like this, right? But I think the jump drive is the best tech in the game for the Wasps. So it will reduce how you use it by a lot. Ignite, never pick it. EMP, well, it's good against multi-melters and stuff like that. Maybe sometimes Fort AA, but Fort AA you counter with field maintenance Wraith. So you don't counter it with EMP. And yeah, it's pretty trash. Because all the techs are like pretty good on the Wasp. You cannot fit in like mid-tier techs. So EMP trash, high explosive ammo, pretty trash. It's good to clear stuff with it, but it doesn't need it. The ground spec is just way better than the high explosive ammo. And I don't know what's up with this AP bullets. Like, it gives 50% attack, but the ground spec gives 200%. So this is like the worst tech in the game, actually. Never click this. Okay, next guy. Phoenix, one of my favorite units. So, here also I like to use jump drive a lot, because I'm an aggressive player. Then I have EMP. EMP is against some problematic unit like multi-melting points, or sometimes I need to disable like Wraith armor, Wraith field maintenance, that sort of thing. The charge shot is to kill the Wraiths, Rhinos, some big guys, and with jump drive you can move them to a perfect position. It's pretty good. And against like boats and Wraiths, it's pretty good to go range and charge shot. I think the launcher overload is pretty troll technology. I think the charge shot is a lot better, but I have seen players go like range, launcher overload, and then elite marksman on them. The elite marksman is like the best carry technology if you can get there, but it means committing into the Phoenix pretty early and leveling them, and it's usually a bad strategy because you will lose to Fortress anti-air if you commit into these guys. But there's also a card in the game, the Elite Phoenix card, which allows you to recruit level 3 Phoenixes. So it's sometimes good to take that card, recruit a couple of those guys, and click only the Elite Marksman. The shield is good against Fortress anti-air, I guess, a little bit, and some spells, but I don't like the shield on the Phoenix. I think it's not a good technology. The Quantum Reassembly, I think it's like very tricky tech. I used to use it with the mass-produced Phoenix card, put the Phoenixes on the flank, put them everywhere, then click this. But I don't like it anymore. I think it's pretty bad. Okay, next guy. Wraith. So this is the best guy against crawlers. And to tank some Fortress anti-air shots. And with the Wraith, if the enemy has like bad ability to kill it, you will go field maintenance first. It's also good on Wraith mirrors, or if you wanted to tank some Mustangs or something. Armor can be also usable. You could have a bar like this. And but usually you just go range first to clear the crawlers faster. And never take the high explosive ammo, it's just too much overkill. The Degen beam is quite good, but one of the best counters to the Wraith is the Overlord. So when you click this, it gives enemy an easy way to build the Overlord, right? So it's not that good for that reason, but it's pretty good defensively if the enemy goes heavily into the flanks. Or if you get the mass-produced Wraith card. So the Wraith only costs 200, so you can put them everywhere cheaply and press this button. It's sometimes good. And the floating artillery array is for if you go into carry Wraiths, and sometimes your Wraiths will get good items early on and they start leveling, and the enemy will counter them pretty poorly. And then you just build more of them and click this button. So this means it will kill everything, and you don't need to build like overlords with them. You can just mass them. So it's not used that often, I think, the floating artillery array, but when you need it, it's really good. Degen beam only affects enemy ground units, or why give it the enemy chance to go Overlord? Well, because the Overlord has the photon emission, so the photon emission counters the degeneration beam. Because it makes the guys near it immune to the degen beam. And the actual Overlord is one of the best counters to the Wraith because it shoots it down very fast. Okay, next guy. Scorpion. Scorpion is good against medium units like Sledgehammer, Steel Balls, stuff like that. Good against Factory also. And this is pretty straightforward decks. If the enemy is pushing against you, you only take double shot. If you just look at how much damage the guy does and how much HP the enemy who you want to kill has, like 10k health. Does the enemy balls have more than 10k health? If yes, you click double shot and kill them. And if he's going to you with big units, you can click double shot and acid, but usually you need range before the acid. And the armor is pretty good sometimes with high level Scorpion drop. The enemy cannot kill it if you click the armor. It allows you to go into like mass produce Scorpion pretty early. But I have not been liking any of this field maintenance or armor on the Scorpion lately. I always go just double shot or range double shot. And acid is pretty good late game, like you can kill fortresses and stuff like that. But it's a risky counter, like to counter fortress you need like range, double shot and acid, so you are so heavily invested into the Scorpion, so it usually you lack on something else, right? And then you just die. The siege mode is a complete troll technology, never use it. It reduces the attack so much that it doesn't do anything, the Scorpion. And some people will say, yeah, it's good to lob the acid. No, it's not, it's terrible. Never click this. Okay, next guy. Vulcan. So the Vulcan is a pretty strong chaff clear unit. And usually the first technology to go is the Scorching Fire. Because when you build a Vulcan, the enemy is going to block it somehow. Like he's going field maintenance sledges or balls, stuff like that. So the Scorching Fire is pretty good. If the enemy goes like fortress or something, don't try to counter it with Scorching Fire. You just build a melting point along it, right? It's also good against armor technologies. Then the second, or sometimes first, tech is the range. So it will keep the Vulcan safe. So why you don't usually go range on the Vulcan first is that when you build the Vulcan early game, it actually tanks quite a lot. And the enemy cannot kill it usually early game. So if you take the range, all of your other guys are gonna tank for it. And it's best to let the Vulcan tank early. But late game you need the range for the Vulcan not to die. Ignite is against Warfactories. Incendiary Bomb is really good to kill like Mustangs, Fangs, Shielded Fangs, Crawlers. It's very good late game technology. So I think like best build is probably this. Because Ignite is only against Warfactories. And Warfactory is a big counter to the Vulcan. So that's why you see someone run the Ignite on them. Because you probably lose the game if the enemy goes factory on the right turn. And then best partner is... It gives you an ability to mass the Vulcans. You just go like 5 Vulcans, click the best partner, usually as second or third technology. Then you have a Marksman that can shoot air units, and you can take like range and EMP to the Marksman. And at that point, it will EMP enemy melting points and stuff like that, and you will win against like melting point compositions with only mass Vulcans. Then the sticky oil bomb is like if you really want to burn the ground. Incendiary is better than sticky oil bomb, by the way, but you can have both and just burn everything. Go like wasps and burn the ground if the enemy is too heavily invested into chaff. Armor is interesting, but I don't think it's good for the Vulcan. I think it just incentivizes the enemy to go like fortress melting point, then you are fucked usually. So I don't recommend it. Melting point. So melting point is good against big giants, big single target dudes that are highly leveled or have like big items. And usually you go just range first on them. If the enemy doesn't have access to EMP or something and can't really kill them, he has maybe like multiple small giants, like 10 level 1 fortress or something. The suck is pretty good because it gives health to the melter, and when it connects to shields and the units, it will heal to full. So it's pretty good sometimes. Then there's energy diffraction, and I don't quite have the knowledge about this technology. I've never really forced it, but it seems to be very strong against like Overlords, Wraiths, stuff like that, but it's not good against crawlers and fangs. And you need a high level melting point, probably with some items like amp core, laser sight, something like that. But when you invest into the multi-melter, yeah, good against worm also. Worms with replicate you can kill with energy diffraction. But usually when you invest into like 3 technologies or 2 technologies, you are just gonna get EMP'd and then you are sad. Then the EMP barrage, it's probably the best technology in the game, like in the whole game. It's very good late game to disable enemy giants, whatever. Like if the enemy goes like mass fortress, you go range and EMP, disable his shields, disable his range, disable anything. Very strong. Crawler production is for like late game chaff. If you happen to have like 6 of these melting points, it's very strong to go crawler production on a 3rd technology. Usually you need the giant reduction card that gives cheap giants to go this deck, but it's very strong. Armor enhancement, it only costs 100. It could be good sometimes. I haven't used it that much, but it will allow you to build the melting point very early, so you can utilize like melting point drops pretty easily. Just put them on the field, click the armor, and it tanks everything. So probably good sometimes. Okay, the fortress, my favorite unit. So the fortress, its role is to be a big tank, and it protects your Mustangs, right? That's the primary role of the fortress, or Fangs for that matter. And the barrier is the technology to do so. It will protect your Mustangs or Fangs. But I think it's pretty risky to go into the barrier too early, because it costs so much, so you probably need to wait 1 or 2 turns before clicking the barrier, just so you don't miss any deployments. The range is pretty strong technology. It's against melting points, factories. So if you level your fortress, you will win against melting points with the range upgrade usually. The fortress is just a better unit. Then the anti-air barrage, very strong. It punishes a lot of enemy misplays, like if he commits too heavily into Phoenix, you can go just fortress with anti-air. Or even if you are first into fortress and the enemy tries to counter your fortress with Overlords, you can actually just keep building the fortress and click this anti-air barrage and you will win that matchup. And it's like the only counter to high-level Wasps in the late game. Then the Fang production, so it will create chaff on its own. It's very good if you get some giant cards, go mass fortress, click this button. The enemy needs to like counter your fortress, but he cannot counter your fortress and your Fangs at the same time. Then the launcher overload is good usually in fortress mirror matchups when both players are deployed. very near each other on the line, right? So many people run like these technologies, range and overload. But I don't like the overload that much. I like range, so range is pretty good. Then the elite marksman, it's very cheap and it will make your fortresses like late game powerhouses when you level them. But I think it's a bit more of a win more technology. If you get like level 3 fortress, you're probably winning the game already. So another technology on the bar gives you more flexibility. Double shot, it's kinda interesting. I really haven't used this much, so I don't have anything to say about it. It seems pretty bad to me, because the fortress's role is to kill a lot of medium units. It's pretty okay on chaff clear. So when you click this, it will reduce that ability. And he's slower, like he's connecting slower to the big stuff. So I don't think it's good, but I might be wrong. Then the armor enhancement. Well, if you click this, the enemy has a very safe way to go melting point, so I don't think it's good. Rocket Punch is very strong against Mustangs, and it gives some easy clear against replicate crawlers early on. And if the enemy has a like air-based army, a lot of air, you can go anti-air and Rocket Punch, and he doesn't have enough ground units to tank the Rocket Punch, so the Rocket Punch will hit the enemy tower and then you win the game. So it's kind of buggy technology, it sometimes doesn't trigger, but it's pretty good when it's good, let's say. And the fortress is a short range unit. You need to be pushing with this or defending a push with this. Then the Sandworm. Well, the Sandworm is very tanky. And the good thing about Sandworm is that it can dodge the beam weapons, so it's kind of hard to kill. So the armor enhancement is very strong with it, because you just cannot counter it with melting point, right? Or steel balls. So I think the armor is the best technology for them. The second best is replicate. And the third best is sandstorm. And the replicate is against melting points and steel balls, but it dies to a Warfactory. The sandstorm is against like Mustangs, aerial spec Marksman, something like that. If you do like Wraith push, then you can sandstorm the enemy Marksman. It's good against all range stuff. Then the strike. I don't like the strike that much. Like, the use case for this is that you put like 4 worms in a clump and beacon them somewhere, so they will clear their path fast to the enemy, because they burrow and unburrow because there's nothing on the path, because they kill it instantly. But it's not good in my opinion. Then the burrow maintenance is not good. Anti-air, well, maybe you could use it, but it's like the fourth technology, right? Mech div, not good. It's my fourth technology. I have never clicked this actually in a serious game. Mech rates, pretty bad. I think this could be good in like worm mirrors, but how often are you gonna go in a worm mirror? Never, right? Okay, next guy. Overlord. So I have not the correct text here. So the ground cannon was recently nerfed. This Overlord artillery, it's totally bad now, but if they change it again, maybe it will be good again. So let's not talk about that. And then the Overlord is pretty straightforward. So the launcher Overlord is the damage technology. It will clear chaff faster, it will deal double damage, it's very strong, but you often need to pair it with range to stay behind your tanking units like Sledgehammers. So you need to go range Overload on the same turn usually. And Mothership is to protect the Overlord. If the enemy is countering it with Phoenix, Wasp, or Phoenix or Marksman, you just click this, and then he needs to deploy Mustangs against it. Jump Drive is very good, but not right now because they nerfed their ground cannon. So the ground cannon's role was to kill the enemy tower with jump drive, but now it's not good anymore, so the jump drive is not good anymore. Photon is very useful with the Overlord drops. You can get easily Photon to counter like Wraith degen beam or to force your steel balls through or stuff like that. Counter acid. And armor and field maintenance are like, you can win one round with them, but I don't think they are ever good. Like, they are very cheesy technologies. It will make your Overlord basically invincible, so that you are forcing the enemy to go melting point. So that's what they do sometimes. I don't like either of them. The high explosive ammo, not good. You need some other units to clear chaff, not the Overlord. Then Warfactory. So you can play the Warfactory in two different ways. You can push with the factory or you can summon with the factory. But the best technology usually is range for the factory. Like, it's a very strong unit that kills enemy, like Sledgehammers, Firebadgers, everything. Or worms. It's very strong, but you need range for it. Or you can go launcher overload and beacon the factory to the enemy tower and kill it. And the efficient maintenance is only good if you build the factory on round 4, right? Go early factory, do some kind of cheese play. It's only good at that point. Then the Phoenix production. The Phoenix is for the summoning factory. So the idea is that in the late game you have like 4 factories on the back of your base and you keep summoning stuff and the enemy cannot deal with them. And the Phoenix production is good because you need it to counter some enemy threats, like melting points sometimes or scorpions. So what you do is you go range and EMP on the Phoenix. And then the Phoenixes will EMP all the enemy big guys so they don't have range to deal with your factories. It's also good against enemy factories. If the enemy is trying to counter your summoning factory with a battle factory, you just go Phoenix production and double take the Phoenix. And steel ball production and sledgehammer production is just that they produce stuff in front of it. So acid or melting points cannot connect to your factory. And the steel ball, I think the sledgehammer production is better against melting points because it's just more units. But the steel ball production is better against scorpions because you can go mechanical division on the steel balls. Then the missile interceptor is like a late game factory technology. And how you use this is that you have like very normal game and then it's like round 8 and the enemy has like 6 Stormcallers with fire. Then you drop 2 of these dudes and click the missile interceptor. And the enemy storms don't do anything, but it needs to serve a purpose, like the fire needs to be his only way to clear your shielded fangs or whatever. Then it's good. If it takes like a critical role out of the enemy army, then it's really good. Then the launcher overload, well, this is basically when you try to kill the enemy fast with your factory, you deploy it on the line, beacon it to the enemy tower, go launcher overload, and it does like double damage, right? Kills everything on its paths. And then maybe you expect acid after that, and then you click photon coating. Armor, I don't know, armor could be good because it gives so much HP to the factory, so even a melting point will take forever to kill it. But you cannot play the summon factory with the armor, so I don't know. I like to have options. I don't have that many opinions on this deck. I never use it. High explosive ammo, it's not good. It's good if the enemy tries to counter your factory with like mass carry crawler. That's about it. But you cannot fit it on the bar, I think. Not that great. Firebadger. Well, the Firebadger is a pretty strong defensive or aggressive unit. And usually, usually you don't even want to tech these guys. But when you do, you probably go range. Or if the enemy has like a lot of crawlers and you can funnel them to the same place with a forward Fang, for example, you can go napalm as the only tech. Put them close to the line, put the napalm, then everything dies for the enemy. There's zero counterplay. But usually it's just range or just napalm. Field maintenance or scorching fire, it can be good if the enemy has like or if you get the level 3 Firebadger drop, then this could be good. Or if the enemy tries to counter it with armor technology, for example on the Arclight. So maybe the Scorching Fire could be good there. Ignite, never click it. Too low range for it to matter. Sabertooth, well, this is a crazy unit. Never click the missile interceptor. Like if you click it, it needs to be very late game, like round 6, round 7, but it's not good. So if the enemy has like storms and you think this is good, it's not good early game. Usually, if you are playing like short range games, you only go double shot. It's very cheap and it's crazy. It's very good. But if you need range, you go range and double shot. That's usually the attacks. And it's good pairing with Mustangs. Sabertooth. Go Sabertooth, Mustang and range double shot. Be good. And the Typhoon. So the Typhoon, it's a unit that clears chaff very well, doesn't die to fire. So it's like a Mustang that doesn't die to fire and protects your unit with barriers. Rise. And it only has 2 good technologies, barrier and homing missile. So you always go barrier first. And then if you have some levels or you have like a lot of them, then homing missile. The homing missile just adds overall DPS. It's pretty good, you can snipe towers with it from afar. Can kill some sledgehammers and whatnot. And I think I've never clicked any of these technologies ever, even though I use this unit all the time. So there's some avenues where aerial spec might be good, like if the enemy goes multiple teched wasps early, maybe this could be good. But never mech raids, always barrier, then homing missile. Sometimes you can go homing missile first if you have like multiple level 2 Typhoons. Then the Farseer, like you can just stop reading at these technologies. You never click any of these. The Farseer needs to be used as a mid-game unit and you only want 1 or 2 of these guys, never more. Only 1 or 2. And the only tech you can click is the EMP. The EMP is really good because it's so cheap. And yeah, the photon is also sometimes usable if you need it to push some units through the enemy or to counter something. But the radar, don't do it. It's too expensive for what it does. The missile interceptor will require you to deploy more of these guys, and that's not good. And the range seems to be pretty good, but it's actually not, because the Farseer doesn't require additional range. And if you click this, you are over investing into the unit. But probably the optimal text might be like this, or maybe this radar might be better than the missile interceptor. Then, holy shit, that was the last one. That was the last one, that's all. That took way too long.